the pain like.
Hey guys, dearyoongi here and welcome back to my channel. A few months ago, I uploaded a video talking about how K-pop companies are using concerts to steal our money, which I called the K-pop concert crisis, aka why K-pop concerts seem to have gone downhill a lot in recent years. I did not expect to be speaking about K-pop concerts again so soon, but it seems like I can't go a week on social media at the moment without hearing of another cancelled or postponed K-pop concert or festival in Europe. So here I am talking about concerts and festivals again. In today's video, we're going to be looking at some of these examples of European K-pop concerts and the reasons for their cancellations or postponements, to try and work out why European concert fans always seem to be left at the brunt of these unfortunate situations. So a lot of people may not actually be aware of how bad this K-pop concert cancellation crisis has gotten. Yes, I gave it a name, try and say that one 3 times fast. So let's just run through some of this year's K-pop concert cancellations or postponements in Europe alone. I must warn you, there's quite a few, and there may even be more that I don't know about. First up, let's discuss K-pop Bang. K-pop Bang was supposed to be a festival held in Germany in September 2024. The festival had previously boasted its intention to feature artists such as Mamamoo Plus, aespa, and even NCT Dream at one point, and 21 member Minji, as well as a special guest they hadn't announced. Now, much like my experience with K-pop Flex in Germany, which I'm sure some of you may remember if it's how you first found my channel, this festival was kind of a disaster from the start as well. The only reason it had not been given its own video like K-pop Flex is because it didn't actually go ahead. But I believe teasing for this festival actually started in 2022. Since then, there has been numerous lineup changes and date changes, eventually leading us to where we are now with the festival being cancelled due to what the company in charge of it listed as production reasons. I'll let you guys decide what you think that means before we discuss it for ourselves. Next, moving on to look at another festival. This one has been postponed to 2025, and that is K-pop Fusion. K-pop Fusion was supposed to be a 9-city tour around Germany in November 2024, featuring artists such as Mamamoo's Hwasa, Card, and AB6. This is another one where it kind of screamed disaster in the making from the start. Fun fact, I was actually going to do this video sooner, but I was holding out on curiosity to see what the outcome of this festival would be, because it was still very up in the air whether or not it was going to take place at all up until October. A company associated with the organisers shared months ago that the artists mentioned had pulled out of the event, but the event organisers claimed this wasn't true. Fans were left in the dark for months as to what was actually happening, before ticket holders finally got the answer they had been anticipating on October 7th, where the organisers revealed the event had been postponed until 2025 due to unforeseeable differences with their Korean artist agency Yellow. Ticket holders have been told that their tickets will remain valid for whenever the rescheduled date will be next year. Of course, this therefore means I'm not sure if any fans have been able to get a refund if they're no longer interested in attending. Please let me know in the comments if you're somebody who had tickets who has been trying to get them refunded. I'd be curious to hear how that's going for you. One more postponed festival for us to look at, because these always take a little bit more explaining. This cancelled European event is, or was, Aria Fest 2024. Aria Fest was supposed to be held in Athens, Greece on I believe the 20th of June 2024. I didn't hear much about this one until it was cancelled, but the event was supposed to feature artists Omega X, Suho and Chanyeol of EXO, Sistar 19, AB6 and LMX, formerly known as Luminous. It seems that things started to fall apart within a short time span for this one. It was revealed Suho and Chanyeol would no longer be performing at the event on the 12th of June, just over a week before it was due to take place, and then the show's postponement came on the 15th of June. The organisers revealed their choice to postpone the event was in order to ensure the best experience for the performers and guests. Unlike K-pop Fusion, where I'm not sure if fans have had the option of refunds, I believe Aria Fest have offered refunds to all ticket holders. I'm not sure if these were easy or straightforward to receive. Hopefully a ticket holder can let us know in the comments. Okay, now for some other concerts that ended up being cancelled or postponed that were not necessarily festivals. Suho's Suhome 2024 Europe tour is cancelled. EXO member Suho was originally supposed to be bringing his solo concert to 5 European cities in September 2024. I think it was early September when SM Entertainment and Applewood announced that this Europe tour would be cancelled due to insufficient preparations by the local promoter. Mark Twain's The Other Side 2024 Europe tour is cancelled. GOT7 member Mark was going to bring his tour The Other Side to 4 European cities in May 2024. Unfortunately, it was announced pretty late that this tour would be cancelled due to unforeseen schedule conflicts, meaning it had not been possible to reschedule the dates in the near future, and that Mark's health and well-being remain their top priority. So after careful consideration, the organisers have determined that it is not feasible to proceed with the European tour at this time. Holland's first European fan meet is cancelled. Soloist Holland was due to be having his first fan meet, I believe, in 4 European cities in March 2024. This tour was originally postponed to June of this year, but eventually was fully cancelled altogether due to unforeseen scheduling problems. 2Z and Nam Dong-hyun's A Crash Landing in Europe 2024 tour is also postponed and then cancelled. Korean band 2Z and Nam Dong-hyun was due to tour together across 5 European cities. It was announced in June that the tour would be postponed to September due to the Olympic Games in July, causing more difficulties in preparing for the concert than anticipated, where they struggled to organise and market the event, which overlapped with such a major sporting event. In September, GoGo 2020's CEO Jae Chung released a statement explaining that the cancellation was a joint decision between the tour director and company, even citing poor ticket sales as the primary reason, which we never normally get that much honesty and transparency, and that they tried to find last-minute solutions but to no avail. iKON indefinitely postponed their Get Back iKON Limited Europe tour. In March 2024, iKON was supposed to be bringing their Get Back iKON Limited tour to Frankfurt, Germany and London, England. Both of these shows were cancelled a few weeks before they were due to take place due to circumstances beyond the organisers' control. Trends' World Tour New Days in Europe is partially cancelled. Boy group Trends were supposed to be bringing their New Days World Tour to Europe to a multitude of cities. One of the most impressive European city lineups I've seen for a K-pop artist tour. It was quite varied. However, the group did not end up coming to all of these locations. 9 of the shows were cancelled due to unforeseen circumstances, but other additional dates were added in a few locations. TRI.B cancelled 2 shows in their True Diamond Europe tour. In May and June of this year, TRI.B came to visit us in Europe across a few locations. Unfortunately, the girls' shows in Madrid and Milan were cancelled due to matters beyond the control of any party involved. Like I said earlier, I was going to create this video earlier, but I was waiting to hear the outcome of K-pop Fusion and if that would be postponed like it was. So while I waited, I started a list of events I was going to talk about, which we just discussed. Since then, I've seen 3 more European K-pop, K-R&B, K-rock, etc. concerts that have been cancelled. Soloist Say, I really hope I said that right, European tour was cancelled for unspecified circumstances. Soloists Jay and Kaki have cancelled the Amsterdam stop of their Still Bad tour. Apparently fans received an email informing them of this before we got a formal reason, but it ended up being logistical reasons. And XG have cancelled the Dusseldorf stop of their The First Howl Europe tour, again due to logistical reasons. I know the is XG K-pop argument is probably going to kick off in the comments. It's a tale as old as time, but I wanted to include it anyway as another example, and you guys can think if it's relevant or not. That's completely up to you. Before we move on, I do just want to take a quick moment to say a huge thank you to K-pop Concerts Europe on Instagram, who keep us updated regarding any K-pop concerts and festivals in Europe, whether this be new announcements, updates, tour recaps, etc. So check them out if you're based in Europe and you don't already know of them. Not sponsored, but I really like their account and it did help me gather some of the information for the last section of this video. Okay, moving on. Anytime you're running an event, you can of course unfortunately face logistical issues along the way. That is only natural and sometimes can be unavoidable. But we have just looked at 13 different events, concerts or festivals that were supposed to take place in Europe just this year alone, where they have eventually been postponed, had specific shows cancelled, or ultimately been cancelled altogether. And those are not normal numbers. So that leaves us with one very important question. Why do K-pop shows in Europe keep getting cancelled or postponed? And unfortunately, this could be due to quite a few reasons, some which may differ amongst festivals and just individual artist tours. But let's look at these reasons and then I'll leave it up to you guys to decide which ones you think are the most relevant. First potential reason we could discuss that has been leading to the high amount of concert cancellations and postponements is rogue companies setting these events up who cannot handle the pressure. Ever since K-pop artists have been touring around the world, which of course has been for quite some time now, this has resultantly introduced us to a lot more tour organisers and companies who we previously will not have heard of. These companies are tasked with helping organise and run these events. Some help pick and book venues, travel arrangements, and even market the event. This job feels like one a lot of us think we could do because we like planning things, but event planning is a huge amount of work, and even organisers, especially newer ones who haven't been in this field for a long time, often misjudge how much work is actually involved in running an entire tour, because there's a lot of behind the scenes work that we don't usually see on the outside. And while the K-pop industry has been growing in size, this of course means more and more of these companies and tour operators are popping up out of nowhere, making labels believe they have what it takes to run an entire festival that they should send their artists to, or even have them run an entire tour for them, putting their trust and confidence in these third parties, only to later find out that these people are more likely what we call cowboys, who are careless, unqualified, and only out for a quick cash grab in the form of K-pop fans. We have unfortunately seen multiple artists fall victim to this, such as Jessie with her European tour, and this of course means fans often get hurt in the process too. Another reason a lot of these concerts and festivals seem to fail is from being too overly ambitious, with venues or expectations of interest leading to low ticket sales. We have seen multiple tours and festivals now in Europe claiming they'll be visiting multiple cities around the continent, some of these even saying they'll be doing shows in multiple arenas or even stadiums across the same country with thousands of seat capacity. I hate to say it because I myself do live in Europe, so of course this directly affects me too, but Europe is not as big a market for the K-pop industry as some others around the globe. Don't get me wrong, there is a large audience of K-pop fans here across multiple countries who deserve the opportunity to attend K-pop concerts just as much as the rest of the world. However, from a business perspective, it can be hard to justify large-scale events across Europe when you factor into consideration the number of potential attendees. Sure, the European K-pop audience may feel big to us as fans, but that is hundreds of thousands of fans who all like different artists in different countries. This does not necessarily mean that all of these fans will want to see the artists who choose to tour in their location. A lot of the time, fans will hold out hope that their favourite artist will eventually come to Europe, and will want to save their money for that just in case, rather than seeing an artist they kinda like just because they're here. A lot of cancelled events will not say this because they're afraid it will reflect poorly on them or the artists, but a lot of the time when concerts get cancelled for logistical reasons or reasons beyond their control, it's likely this just means they did not sell as many tickets as anticipated to fill the venue. There will sometimes genuinely be logistical errors that mean the concert cannot go ahead, such as problem with the venue. But in this case, it would then be the responsibility of the organisers for not stamping these issues out, which then of course takes us back to the first point. Another reason why K-pop concerts in Europe could fall through a lot of the time I think is quite simple but deserves to be mentioned. Sometimes the prices are too expensive. While concerts have always been on the pricier side for K-pop artists compared to perhaps Western artists, ever since the COVID pandemic, it just seems that K-pop concert ticket prices have skyrocketed. I'm not sure if this is due to more logistical reasons, such as the cost for artists to come here, but these costs unfortunately do get placed upon the fans in the form of the ticket prices increasing. And a lot of the time, it is difficult for fans to justify paying these prices, especially during a cost of living crisis. Plus, a lot of the time, because K-pop concerts may not specifically be in your city when they do come to Europe, and a lot of European fans might experience them just coming to their country or a country near them, then European fans also have to factor in travel and accommodation costs. If fans can see that these costs combined are too high for them to realistically pay, then this of course brings us back to the issue of low ticket sales that can lead to cancellations, because fans simply cannot afford to spend thousands of pounds for one concert. Next reason I wanted to address in terms of K-pop concerts in Europe not being as successful as hoped, I do feel a little bit bad for including, but I do have to touch upon it, and that is the idea that the artists who are coming to Europe aren't always ones fans want to see. Okay, hear me out because I know this sounds harsh, but when it comes to K-pop festivals especially, fans will often think that they can justify the money to travel to these events if there's there's an extra special incentive there for them. And what usually swings it for the audience is if one particular artist they really love is going to be there. For example, when I flew to Germany for K-pop Flex, it's because I wanted to see Mamamoo. I think I've told that story like 100 times, but it's true. This is why when it comes to dropping the lineup for a K-pop festival especially, K-pop fans are always pushing these organizers to try and look for bigger artists and book people for these festivals that would encourage a greater turnout from fans. There's a lot of these festivals who do not announce their full lineup until really close to the event, and that just makes a predicament for fans in which they will not buy tickets until they're certain it's worth their while. And unfortunately, because a lot of these tour organizing companies do not have either the credentials to back their company or the financial capabilities, they often struggle to book groups or artists who may perhaps be more in demand or have higher price tags. But these could be the ones that European fans want to see. You do often find that the events boasting a bigger or more popular artist performing there are more likely to have a greater turnout or fan buzz around them or succeed at all. Okay, let's move on from this one. So one last reason I wanted to talk about that could be leading to the constant failure of European concerts this year is a shame and not a nice thought, but it's the idea that K-pop companies put less importance on Europe as a place to target, and these events in terms of marketing do not get what they need to succeed. As I'm sure a lot of us will know, it doesn't take an expert to understand that in order for an event to succeed, it needs to have the right backing, whether this be via important people who have the power to make it work, or financially, etc. When labels aim to have their artists break into the West, by this they usually mean that they want their artists to succeed in the United States. So not only do they tour there, but they also try to do more content there, such as fan meets or promoting their artists on TV shows. Anything that could help them reach a wider audience that's not just K-pop fans. However, when a K-pop company decides to bring their artists to Europe, it's usually just to either appear at a festival or a tour of their own with a few stops. Both the companies themselves and the organisers do not often put enough emphasis on the marketing of these events, but this in turn just ends up detrimenting the event and the investment that went into it, because the lack of proper marketing for the event leads to lack of interest from customers. It's simply not enough for them to just say we are coming to this place and then do no further promotion. What I don't like about this one is that it kind of drives home the fact that a lot of these labels simply do not necessarily care about their European audiences as much as we would like them to. If the care and regard was there because they wanted their artists to succeed here, then they would plug a lot more effort into promoting their activities in Europe and even adding more to them. I think this lack of regard again likely comes because the companies do not see as much potential for growth here as they perhaps do in other worldwide locations. So instead they decide to come here anyway, but just to try and make a quick bit of money, not to properly promote to the extent that they could. Okay, so let's wrap up today's video with a conclusion and perhaps my final thoughts on this topic. Of course, as a European K-pop fan, the huge amount of concerts and festivals that have fallen through this year does concern me, because it seems to be at a record high. And the last thing we want is more companies to pick up on this and feel as though there isn't much point in sending their artists here at all in the future, because that would be a major shame for all of us European K-pop fans. But at the same time, I do feel like we as the consumer need to be cut some slack here, because we're constantly put between a rock and a hard place by those who are supposed to be in charge of hosting these events, where they often leave us feeling as though we have no choice but to be apprehensive and not to put our trust, or more importantly money, into them. These companies are often renowned for their poor organising skills, which therefore leads fans to think they should not bother getting tickets. Poor ticket sales can lead to these events getting cancelled because they think the demand isn't there, and then this therefore leads to a lack of events being scheduled for the future too. It's like a vicious cycle where the consumer never wins, but is expected to just accept whatever they are given. Unfortunately, all we can really do as fans is hope that this sort of issue does not become a regular one, and that this year is just a one-off that these companies could learn from. What we really need is companies to go back to the drawing board and to 1. Consider more carefully who they choose to do business with in terms of organisers and tour operators, rather than just whoever is cheapest or promises the earth when they cannot deliver. And 2. More market research really needs to be conducted before they decide where to send artists, to avoid potential disappointment down the line for both the fans who eagerly awaited an event that will ultimately be cancelled anyway, but also the artists too, who may be getting excited thinking they're taking their music global, only to later be disappointed when they find out that this wasn't the case and they were misled by poor planning, for the whole thing to then get postponed indefinitely and never happen or be fully cancelled Okay guys, and that was it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching if you got this far. And by the way, I'm so sorry for the way my voice sounds. I do have a cold at the moment. I feel very nasally. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on this topic in the comments, regardless of where you're from. We have looked at so many reasons for the potential cancellation and postponement of these K-pop concerts, but I'd love to hear if you guys agree with them or if you can think of any other factors that may be coming into play. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to be the first to hear whenever I upload, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys!